There have been numerous films which received nominations for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress where neither won. Hey, it's Michael, aka Oscar Man, and in this video, I'm going to talk about actress, supporting actress nominated duos that I think were among the best. Now, this is not comprehensive, which leaves room for you to share any that I didn't mention. There are two in particular which I feel are the gold standard. I'll begin with one of them and leave the second one for last. When I finished watching Notes on a Scandal, I remember saying, "What a nasty film." And I meant that in the best way. This 2006 film is basically a two-character story, brilliantly played by Judi Dench and Cate Blanchett. Talk about a matchup. These two actresses should have won a special Oscar for Best Performance by a Duo.
About me.
What?
You can't accept it yet,
You
but
think I wanted to be here with you?
you need me. I'm your friend.
You put me in prison. I could get 2 years.
They'll fly by.
I won't go into too much detail about the plot. Suffice it to say that if you prefer films with sweet characters engaging in lighthearted fun, this ain't the one for you. For all others, if you haven't seen Notes on a Scandal, watch it today. And if you've seen it before, watch it again. Not that I'm against lighthearted fun. 1982's Victor Victoria was a wonderful surprise. I didn't think this film would be so positively received, given director Blake Edwards' inconsistent track record, and more importantly, some sectors of the population accepting the Sound of Music's Julie Andrews in a gender-bending role. Of course, she provided some great musical numbers, but Andrews was also quite funny in a part that required some suspension of belief. And let's not forget Leslie Ann Warren's hilarious turn. She also performs a great musical number. While these two characters don't interact with one another to a great extent, the performances by each actress helped make the film a critical and box office success.
Wait!
This next pair did have a couple of scenes together, and they made 1987's Fatal Attraction one of the most popular films of the decade. I think you all know the story, so let's skip to Anne Archer meeting Glenn Close. I'm sure everyone has been in a situation where you said to yourself, "I could feel the tension in the room." Well, it's palpable here.
Alex is expecting a baby.
Oh, you excuse me, I have some work I've got to do.
Oh, I better run too. Thank you for the tea. Showing me the apartment. You're very welcome. I like it. I really like it. Well, we've been very happy here. I'd like to think about it if I could. Let me give you our number so you can call us direct. Thank you.
I don't know if I felt worse for what was to come for Anne Archer or the bunny. And since we all know how Archer greeted Close at the film's end, I'll sum this one up by saying that each actress gave a career best performance. By the way, I won't go into the winners in each of these years because that will get into a whole other, well, you know. Was there ever a more uncomfortable mother-daughter relationship than between Anne Bancroft and Catherine Ross in The Graduate? Maybe I'm wrong, but I've yet to personally know any mother who slept with her daughter's future boyfriend slash husband. Sure, this happens all the time on soap operas, and no doubt in real life as well. But in 1967, this wasn't exactly commonplace, or at least talked about with any frequency. While Bancroft gave her usual excellent performance, Ross earned her nomination with a role that wasn't as easy as it might have looked. The Graduate was considered a comedy, but thanks to Mike Nichols' Oscar-winning direction, the film didn't veer into parody, which it easily could have, thanks to some strong work by this mother-daughter pairing. Have you seen 1990's The Grifters? I really enjoyed this film. Like Notes on a Scandal, this one is filled with unsavory characters in a tale of cons trying to con each other. The movie made me think of those film noir classics, similar in look and tone. I think this was one of Angelica Houston's best performances, and Annette Bening was equally good. Their scene together featured some entertaining banter, a lighter moment in a film that becomes very, very dark.
I'm Roy's friend.
Yes, I imagine you're lots of people's friend.
Oh, of course. Now that I see you in the light, you're plenty old enough to be Roy's mother.
Aren't we all?
On a side note, the film's score is wonderful, and I remain puzzled as to why it didn't receive a nomination. Anyway, I highly recommend The Grifters. It's another nasty, fun film. At this point, I'm going to briefly go over some additional favorite actress, supporting actress nominated duos. Goldie Hawn and Eileen Brennan have great chemistry in Private Benjamin. Their scenes together are the best in that 1980 comedy. Secrets and Lies features an outstanding performance by Brenda Blethyn, and Marianne Jean-Baptiste is wonderful too in this 1996 drama. How these two characters intersect takes place in a devastating scene that reportedly was improvised. Who didn't love the comedic interplay between Rosalind Russell and Peggy Cass in 1958's Auntie Mame? This is a film that one can watch over and over. Well, at least I have. And in Rachel, Rachel, Oscar winners Joanne Woodward and Estelle Parsons helped make this 1968 film memorable by allowing audiences to understand their characters with subtlety and sensitivity. Don't worry, I haven't finished covering awkward mother-daughter relationships. The crown may well go to Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie in Carrie. Once again, there isn't a need for me to go into detail about this duo or their 1976 film. This was arguably Laurie's best performance, and she spoke about how much fun it was to play this role.
It was great fun. I had an opportunity to play act like children do, and I could be the mean lady. And I laughed a lot in between takes.
Which I guess was probably necessary.
Well, yes. I thought I was hilarious.
You thought the part of Margaret White was hilarious?
Yes.
Were you surprised that so many people took it so seriously and that you ended up with an Oscar nomination? You both ended up with Oscar nominations?
I was really stunned.
This was also the film that helped Spacek gain prominence. Ready for some trivia? There were 2 casting calls being held at the same time in the same location. Both were seeking unknown talent. The directors were Brian De Palma and George Lucas. One film was titled Carrie. The other one you may have heard of.
I had never made a film before, and I was doing a production of Romeo and Juliet on the stage when this audition came up for Star Wars. And everybody in town was going in on this. And Brian De Palma was sitting in the corner of all the interviews that George was giving. And he was kind of like making his little mental notes to say, okay, George can only pick so many, I'll see what's left. And that's how I ended up working my first film.
Carrie's nomination surprised many, as horror films weren't seriously considered for awards back then. Things have changed since.
We pray. We pray. For the last time, we pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Only When I Laugh was a departure for Neil Simon. Based on the Broadway play The Gingerbread Lady, starring Maureen Stapleton in her Tony-winning role, Simon's then-wife Marcia Mason gave what I think is her best screen performance in this 1981 comedy, mostly drama. Joan Hackett was also memorable as her superficial friend, who offers some funny one-liners to the proceedings. The film gets rather heavy towards the end, atypical for what people back then expected from Neil Simon. But Mason and Hackett were both strong.
And the truth of it is that I have never had a lasting relationship with anyone who wasn't as weak and as helpless as I am.
Don't talk to me that way. I deserve better than that from you.
You want to treat yourself like dirt? You do that better than anybody I know. And don't tell me I'm your friend because I'm as weak as you.
And while this film isn't for everyone, I still recommend giving this one a look. Before I discuss the final duo, any guesses as to which one it will be? I want to say thanks if you're catching my channel for the first time, as well as to those who tune in each week. I'm grateful for your support. So by now, you know the drill. After the video concludes, oh, and be sure and stay to the end for a special message. If you would please hit the like button and join us by subscribing, it would make my day and even make someone else smile. Individually, Geraldine Page and Maureen Stapleton were, for me, masters of their craft. While both could play comedic roles, it is when called upon to create characters of heartfelt sensitivity is when each was at their best. They only worked together once, and for me, it doesn't get better than 1978's Interiors. Whatever people think of the film's writer-director, you have to admit that casting these two actresses was brilliant. Whenever each is on screen, no one else matters. And they don't have to achieve that by playing to the rafters. These two accomplished stage actors knew the difference with film acting. Did either of them ever give a bad performance? Interiors is a noteworthy film because it had both Geraldine Page and Maureen Stapleton in it. Any thoughts on these films and its actress, supporting actress nominees? Share your thoughts in the comments, as well as any others that come to mind. And until we meet again, I hope after watching this video, you say this.
I liked